As we begin to review the headline stories in a bid to dissect the issues on the news, while giving balanced reporting and critical analysis. Now joining us in the studios to review the headline stories together is an ardent social commentator and economic analyst, Dr. Aliyu Ilias. Doctor, good morning to you and welcome to the studios.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, Doctor, without further ado, let's get straight into the conversation. And where else to start than with Benue? Now, there's been a lot of mixed reactions across social media, particularly on notices issued by the SSG in Benue State, declaring a public holiday today and also urging that people come out en masse to welcome the president from the airport all the way to the government house in what was described as a colorful shoulder-to-shoulder progression. What do you make of this notice issued?
Well, first and foremost, our heart goes out to the people that lost their life in Benue. But the problem of Benue is quite worrisome because it's becoming a recurrent issue that different governments have been putting a lot of measures to actually, reduce it. But talking about welcoming president, is it celebration? I don't think it's celebration. In as much as I'm not against the declaration of public holiday, because when there is no holiday, there may be a lot of problems, maybe traffic related issue. And they said essential workers could actually go to work, but that they want to welcome the president as if they are coming to commission a project or they are coming to do a landmark event, not at this level that people have lost their life. And president is actually coming to commiserate, coming to condole the people of Benue. I don't think there is need for such celebration and fanfare. It's not bad if some people think they want to welcome president, they can be on the board. For them, showing that celebration, it's uncalled for. We are in a sober reflection period and a serious period that it must concern virtually all of us, because that shows that Nigeria itself is not secure.
Do you think there should also have been a national position on it? Because over time, when we have people dying there, several hundreds, usually flags are flown at half-mast, and there's some sort of national solidarity, show of empathy, show of sympathy as well, in terms of reflecting how much of a loss this is and a tragedy to Nigeria.
Flying flag for me, I don't think it's actually necessary because we know the circumstances that bring about that. It could also trace back to what happened in Mokwa. People actually lost their life. I would say we'll be flagging the flag half at every event, even though we pray not to see negative event. But the thing is, it's much of conscience.
Why is this declaration of a public holiday? Do you think even if it was in Benue, where they were most affected and impacted?
Okay, that is expected, and governor can actually take lead in that. If he has capacity to declare holiday, he can also, in conjunction with the president, and say, okay, in my state, this is what I want to happen. And governor must take lead, and that's why I always have issue with those governors that things are happening in their area. Because if you even listen to their conversation, even look at Plateau as at that time, when you take the lead as a governor, people actually follow you, and you must show that displeasure, you must show that negative, sign that you are not, inconvenient with this. So, and I think it's an error to say that they should come en masse and actually come to celebrate the president. I don't think the governor should have mentioned such thing.
Now, it's just happened a few days after the 2025 Democracy Day, and now the symbol of our democracy, which is the parliament, has also issued a statement and position on the matter. The Senate Chairman Committee on Media and Publicity, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, also extended condolences, but he said it is beyond time to extend condolences, that it is time for decisive action. He says, as a show of solidarity, the Senate's leadership will be accompanying Mr. President to Benue State to get a first-hand assessment of the issue and also prefer solutions towards ending the killings. How symbolic is this?
Right, quite symbolic, but for me, I think it's beyond rhetoric, it's beyond going there. It's much more of action. What happened after you going there? You recall that one of the Army General said he's relocating to that place. And we noticed that even he just get there the same day, and second day, he's back to Abuja. Until we see a consistent actions and we see a total stoppage in the killing of Nigerians in Benue. That's why we say what you have been. Even for me, what president is going there to do for me is much more ceremonial. to actually identify with them what happened after it. Yellow-Atta has been known, Mande, all those areas have been known for such killings until we find a final solution. And there's always a different conspiracy theory. Some will say it's people that come from Cameroon actually causing the problem. Some will say it's between ethnic problem. Some will say it's between Fulani, what have you. Some will say it's even political clash between the Benue politicians and Abuja politicians. So we have different things. I've mentioned for now. What is the president going to do? So I expect the president not to go there to just do ceremonial, to look at these 4 indicators and find solution to each of them. Those political issues, give them a mandate. More so, you are in the same party. The one that has to do with the border with Cameroon, find a lasting solution with it. The one that has to do with ethnic, let these traditional rulers come together and find a final solution until we get to that final solution, because it is quite reoccurring. I can tell you, especially case of Plateau and Benue, it's always reoccurring. So for me, I think it needs much more. Perhaps some people are even asking, why not declare state of emergency on this place? You are not saying you should remove the governor. But there's a way you can declare state of emergency on security. So by so doing, you comb all this area and find a final solution.
Now, the second issue in the news this morning is the position of some Nigerians who have leveled strong accusations against Nigeria's military off the back of some viral videos and pictures circulating showing what presumably is vans of the military side by sides, non-state actors wielding AK-47s. Now, in respect to those, the DHQ also issued a statement through its Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tuko Gusau, who said that those allegations are unfounded, and saying that there is nothing like an internal sabotage and the complicity of the military in the Benue killings. How do you judge this development side by side?
The reoccurring problem of Nigeria in terms of insecurity is becoming worrisome, because ideally military are not supposed to be solving internal crisis. You're supposed to see police, you're supposed to see civil defense coming in. But now that they are, the crisis seem to be overwhelming, and that's why we are seeing military. So when you see those information, you get confused. And I'm happy at this point in time they're actually showing they're actually showing that they are not part of such. Let's agree with them, because we don't expect our Nigerian military to compromise. Because if you look at it, they are also suffering this insecurity. A lot of them suffer, ambush, a lot of things. So I expect them not to stoop so low to be identified with such people that are non-state actor in this case.
Now, General Christopher Musa, speaking yesterday, the Chief of Defense Staff, he also highlighted 3 issues in view, much like the 4 you have enumerated. He cited land grabbing, he cited cattle rustling as some of the issues that have sparked these killings in Benue. In his closing speech, he most alluded that the citizens might contemplate self-defense. Now, his view on the matter is quite contrary to the position of the Benue State Governor, who has asked that the youths step down and not take laws in their order and not even hit the streets to protest, because the protest might be hijacked. How do you view these two angles to the development?
Right, and that's why most of us are clamoring and asking for community policing or state policing, as it were, because it shows that even the governor does not have the power over he only have command, doesn't have the power to actually tell them what to do. So that simply means General Christopher Musa discovered that even though they are getting overwhelmed, now if there could be community self-defense before they arrive, that would have solved the issues. Meanwhile, the governor, I want to agree with the governor, because he was thinking that if it is allowed to generate to that level in which people take self-defense, it will generate a lot of things. You could see that people even went ahead to chase some cattle that belongs to one of their own outside the city.
One of the State House of Assembly members.
Right. So that shows that people are not longer happy, so they can take the law to their hands. So, and if you allow people to take the law to their hands, especially the contemporary youth who have that penchant to actually cause mayhem, it can degenerate and it will be out of control. But for me, if we could have a community police who gets to know every person in that community, because sometimes when I see some commissioner of police, the current commissioner of police in Benue, I think is an Igbo man, in Benue. So you now think, if somebody from an eastern part of Nigeria is the one leading in Benue, how will he know all this, sports that is actually having issue, But if it's someone from that environment, he will actually know that this is a bad spot, take charge of it. They will do those things within their community and make sure that it is safe. I think that's the way to actually go. You could see what Amotekun is doing to an extent. When there's anything coming around, they'll actually attack it even before it comes into the main town. So I think I want to canvass for more community policing. That's what I say, and I'm sure even the IGP Ebetoku is also saying it, that if they don't embark on such, this will be difficult to actually tame.
Now, there's another angle to it, because the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, also proposed the Sokoto-styled approach in Benue. You've mentioned the Amotekun now. Do you think that Sokoto style of military security can be applicable in Benue?
Well, it's, if it's working, every decision or every model, once it is tested and it's actually work, it's better we adopt it. Somebody will start it somewhere. So if Sokoto approach is actually working, it should be adopted in that place to solve the problem. It's about solution driven. It's not about try to show power or try to show that you have much more innovation. Any model that actually work and solve problem, if Sokoto is getting the appropriate and expected peace, as it were, I think it should be adopted in any other place in Nigeria.
Now, before we leave the Benue issue and move on to other issues, over time in Benue, especially under the recent administration of Governor Hyacinth Alia, there has been a perceived breakdown in relationship between the executive and legislative arm. Some summons were issued by the National Assembly, which were turned down by the governor to look into these matters. But in the wake of this recent killings, the State House of Assembly has been very vocal on what they think would solve and end the killings. They have proposed bills on self-defense and anti-open grazing laws. How do you see the executive and legislature managing their relationship? Because if these bills should pass second and third reading, they would still need to be sent to the governor for assent. How does the governor and his legislative arm manage these different opinions on ways to end the killings?
Honestly, I like to call on the governor, in as much as automatically you're the leader of the state. You just have to find a way to manage this your other stakeholders very, very well. Now, some say Abuja politician is giving them problem. Now it is the legislative arm of the government, and you are the executive, and by virtue you are actually the leader. So I think he's not leading, he's not taking them along, because I listened to one of the House of Rep member where he said the governor is not taking anybody along, he's just deciding on what he actually wants. And in politics, especially in governance, you cannot do it on your own. There is need for you to carry every other person along, so that even that's your dream, that's your expectation can actually be achieved. For me, he's getting more frustrated because he's not managing them well. According to him, I listened to him, he said disgruntled politician. Using that statement, they are disgruntled. That simply means you also identify that there is a gap between you and the executive or the Abuja legislature and the Abuja politician. You must come to table with them and solve the problem, so that there could be common front, there could be common objective of safeguarding the interests of Benue people. So for me, I think you can also, as a governor, negotiate with these people and find final solution. And that's why, as Mr. President is going to Benue now, I expect Mr. President as well to be frank, to call a spade, to call the governor to order, and to call the legislative arm to order, and to also call the Abuja politician of Benue, to also to order, so that there could be harmonious, because this is APC to APC. Imagine if the governor is PDP, what would people, commentators like me, will be saying? We say that, okay, maybe there is a kind of like cool attitude from the part of APC, but this is APC to APC. I think they should find a common ground to achieve, and the president should make sure that he solve it today, not tomorrow. Because if you don't solve that problem today, that shows that you don't have the capacity to solve the problem in Benue State.
Now, this insecurity almost feels as though it is not just a Benue issue. Whilst Benue shares borders with other states to include the likes of Cross River, Enugu, and Plateau, the marauding headers have found their way into an Enugu community. The Eha Amufu local government in Isu Uzo local government area of Enugu State, where their latest onslaught has left over 164 persons. Now, the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Obi, has condemned the killing in strong terms, saying that such communities cannot afford to continue burying farmers, while warning of an impending crisis when it comes to Nigeria's food security. Now, how much of a big deal is the humanitarian crisis on our hands, because the states sharing quite the common borders all seem to be affected by the same hydra-headed monster.
It is a big deal, very serious big deal. You know why? When problem happens to particular states, we all say, no, it's not my state, it is their problem. Now the problem is now going from one state to the other. You even did not mention Nasarawa state. You know, all these states that border that place, that simply means that if these people are being chased away from Benue, they're also going to find solace in other places. And that's why we must come together, you know, to fight this ugly, you know, scenario that is happening every now and then. And that shows that what happens to you can also happen to the next person. And that's why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must also take it much more serious, because it seems the security is degenerating under his view. And we could recall during Jonathan, this very president Bola Ahmed Tinubu, child President Jonathan, that he could not even handle security, and they are bringing a lot of solution for him. Now it is the one that is at the helm of affair. Let him put those things in place and making sure that it actually solves the problem, because if this problem continues, even his political ambition is being threatened. Because one of the things that affected President Jonathan was that insecurity. So if this continue, that shows that it will be another opportunity for Nigerians to say, no, we are not secure under your leadership.
Now, the challenge with this also is on the fact that at the time it's happening, the National Assembly also had a dialogue on the need to overhaul Nigeria's security architecture. And one of the ministers, the Minister of Interior to be specific, did not mince words in his honest analysis of what Nigeria's architecture is at the time. In his words, he said, the architecture is a joke.
Right. So I think I watched that myself, and it's becoming laughable, because you know, he sits on the executive seat, and he's canvassing for actually immigration. You know, he said the budget is about 10 billion or so, that it should be more than that. But you know, sometimes it appears we have misplaced priority. When you are renovating the conference center with 34 billion, I suppose, and you are bringing security, you know, contributing to security with 10 billion, that shows that there's a misplaced priority. So I think that border needs to be well controlled. If you look at these Benue issues, it is also traced to, you know, unmanned area between Cameroon and Benue. So these are the things that we have to prioritize. So for me, security needs to be prioritized beyond rhetorics. And for him, I think he should canvass that more in the executive meetings. But it's a good one, and it is quite expository that he's saying that at a particular program that is talking about security architecture. For me, I agree with him that what we are doing is just not what is expected for a country like Nigeria.
Now I'm talking about this cross-border security approach. To be honest, beyond the budgetary provisions, I know NAF has said that they have deployed more aerial surveillance, particularly around Benue, following the killings in Yelwata. But how achievable is it to have a cross-border security patrol across Nigeria's borders? Not like most of those borders are fenced.
If you listen to him, was it 45,000 kilometers he mentioned that we need to actually man? It's quite humongous. But for me, I think we have to decipher a means. You know, those places that are much more volatile, you know, we can actually construct wire and what have you, you know, a kind of fence. Those that are less, we can start monitoring them through electronic means. And at this point in time, I don't think somebody should come to our border and escape, and we cannot find the trace to it, because by now we should be in our office and be surveilling, you know, all those areas through technology. So we need to, though I am aware that they are installing some of those technology architecture now in some of those border areas, especially in Taraba, Borno axis, and that's a good one, because you know, if you install those things, you can easily monitor. But I think we need to do more and be quick in what we actually are doing.
Now, Dr. Aliyu Ilias has cited the need for urgency in Nigeria's current security architectural approach to the insecurity bedeviling different regions of the country. And also borrowing from the Minister of Interior's comments on the state of Nigeria's security architecture are recent onslaughts across communities in Nasarawa, Benue, Enugu, Plateau. And this has left over 1,000 persons dead, particularly mostly farmers. And this also has a widespread implication on Nigeria's food security at the moment. Now, whilst the issue of security remains paramount and a constitutional responsibility of the government, Nigeria's overdependence on oil for 90% of its revenue has also become a new headache following the ongoing global crisis. Our next topic of conversation looks at the ongoing petrol price war. In Nigeria, there's an ongoing rivalry between Dangote and the marketers, whilst in the global community, a renewed war between Israel and Iran is also threatening the global oil supply chain. Now, Doctor, how much of a concern is this? Let's start with the internal premise of this. Dangote and the marketers. He has talked about a nationwide approach for free PMS aviation fuel delivery. Marketers are now boycotting the Lekki-Ekpe corridor over this new e-collop ticketing approach to it. What's really happening in your perspective?
Right. For Nigeria, I think supply chain is a major problem, and Dangote is thinking how can he actually solve the problem of supply chain, and that's why he embarked on purchasing about 1,000 truck. My fear is that where are other multimodal solutions? I want to talk about multimodal. You can do rail, through this. You can do water. You can go through water to supply. Why must it be on the road? So imagine 1,000 additional truck on Nigeria roads again, and imagine the CNG part of it as well. Now, if you are bringing such, how many CNG stations have you built? Because all the 1,000 truck are CNG. Some said he proposed 100 CNG stations. I think that should have come first before that. Then in terms of, for him, I think he's a businessman. He wants to take over the market, because for me, Dangote is tilting towards monopoly in that area, and I doubt if there could be any challenges, because he's not joking with it at all, for him to go ahead to actually, and to also bring his conditionalities that he's going to deliver for free. Delivering for free is a delight to every retailer, that the distributor is going to bring it to your. It also give another opportunity that if you are buying 500,000 litre or so, it's going to give you a considerable discount. That's good, but the thing is, monopoly is always a problem, because look at what we have in cement. If you allow monopoly to thrive, that means the citizen will suffer it, because he will be the one that will determine the price. And now he's determining not only the price, even the logistics and transportation part of it. My question is that where is NNPC? Where is the NMDPR? You have to also create an avenue from that competition. Simply because if you can produce, your own petroleum products, it will be a competition. But for me, what I will appeal to federal government is that please do not stop importation, because as far as America is concerned, they are also importing, even import from the same Dangote. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, they are also import. So allow importation so that we will balance competition, because once you shut door for, and because Dangote is also doing this because you allow importation. He wants to actually make sure that he actually defeats that. And when there's competition, Nigerian benefits. When there's monopoly, Nigeria suffer. So that's what I think we should look at properly. You don't blame Dangote. You want to make profits. And to make profits, you must think, and bring about a solution.
Now, talking about the CNG, because Dangote also issued a statement saying that he intends to acquire 40,000 CNG trucks to make these deliveries nationwide. He also tied it to the ongoing presidential CNG initiative while talking about appreciating the government in return for the Naira to crude deal. It was part of the advertorial that read Bonanza, which we looked at on our papers earlier. Do you think that this is more of a Dangote federal government partnership as against it being a Dangote marketers rivalry?
Right. So I think a Dangote government partnership is expected, because government want to bring succor. They want to bring things much more easier for people. My only concern is that, when you are saying, I have a converted car to CNG, but I can tell you I hardly go to it, because, why? If you go there, you expect like 5 hours before you can get. So Dangote coming now and say that it's coming CNG. We want to see that, that is stations. By the time we see 20 in Abuja, we know, okay, Dangote actually meant busy. You may not even be serving Nigerians, serve your own, truck, and leave us to actually, fight for others. Because most of those CNG, like the one in Anagada, is only for truck. The one at, airport road also, is also serving struck. So until we have a balance there. But for me, I think what you should be discussing at this point in time is multimodal transportation. Why would Dangote said he will only deliver through road? Why not bring those money and also construct at least some rail track? I think that place is now concurrent now. It's not exclusive. So you can now come up with your own rail and say, this is my rail. So those trucks will just come to connect and get it. But for you to say they will always transport along the road, it's not a good one. Then also, you are on Lekki Free Trade Zone, whereby you can also do some movement through water. Must not be all by the road, because the more we have trailer on our road, the more we have more challenges, and the more the lifespan of the road reduces.
Now let's talk about one thing most viewers will be more interested in. That is the pump price, because once there's an ongoing petrol war, usually it takes a direct effect on the pump price. In your projections, globally there is an ongoing war which is affecting the global price of oil, but recently we're told that Nigeria's oils are appreciating in terms of their price on the global market. What does this do for the pump price here in Nigeria?
It's a true thing. Yes, government will get more revenue, but what citizen will pay more. The more you have the price of oil globally goes up, the more the price in Nigeria will go up for pump price, simply because it's a global market, and we have not built that. Our government did not build that absorber that once it is up there, Nigeria will not be affected, because we don't have state-owned NNPC producing as expected. It is when NNPC produce as expected that it will sell at a range that Nigeria will not feel it. So for now, the war that's happening, especially in Iran now and Israel, it's a positive externalities for federal government, while negative externalities for Nigerian consumers.
Quite interesting takes from Dr. Aliyu Ilias, leaving the petrol price war and coming down to INEC. Yesterday was quite monumental in some words for the Independent Electoral Commission. They had the flag off of commissioning for the proposed new INEC headquarters here in the FCT. But it's also off the back of some drama in terms of the administrative function. They have now rejected the PDP's proposal to hold its NEC meeting on the 30th of June. And this is over what they say is the absence of the Supreme Court's acknowledged National Secretary and Senator Samuel Anyanwu. His signature was missing from that notice of a NEC meeting. How much of a trouble is this for the PDP?
I think the PDP narrative, they are nosediving the more. They are supposed to come out, but they are nosediving the more. The thing is that I don't know why that interpretation of Supreme Court is difficult for PDP to actually take. In as much as you have your election by November, I don't know why you don't allow Senator Anyanwu to take over his responsibility, perhaps because it belongs to Wike camp. But that shouldn't be the issue. If you want your boy or anybody to be the chairman or secretary, just hold on. Do the proper processes and hold on till November, because before you find that out. Because what they are doing now will definitely affect that November. Because INEC is saying no, this person we recognize. Why is his signature not there? They are querying their actions. So I think the elders, the BOT of PDP, should come together and say, okay, it's a bitter pill. Let us swallow it. Take Anyanwu and let us follow the process and proceeding to achieve our objective aim. If they don't do that, this will continue, and they will continue to nosedive and lose relevance in Nigerian politics.
But it's quite challenging to comprehend that despite the responsibility saddled on the former Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki to go about reconciling aggrieved actors in the party, it seems to be much of a hurdle on his desk. The FCT minister, on the other hand, has also rallied together what he called concerned stakeholders in the PDP. Now, it seems as though there are more factions as the day goes by. The Governor Seyi Makinde faction as well. Why is it so difficult to have a convergence in the PDP?
Well, with the fact that we have to put someone like Senator Bukola Saraki, who is a former chairman of Governors Forum, former Senate President, it's finding it difficult to settle. That simply means it's a serious problem for PDP. However, I think the major problem is that there is a serious rivalry. In this rivalry, we have seen that Wike is having upper hand, because they are using legal tools to actually say yes, a person is supposed to be the secretary. At this point in time, I expect Bukola Saraki and other people in PDP to say, okay, it's fine, since we still maintain the chairman, okay, the secretary come and continue to act your,
And
do your
Dr. Mind you, the
responsibility.
chairman is also on a controversial stance in the party.
Yes, now it's also from northeast, and that position is actually occupying is for north central. So be that as it may, in as much as November is at hand, we are looking at it already. So it's better they come together. They should be looking at who will succeed those people, not fighting these people that are there presently now.
Well, quite interesting times for the People's Democratic Party. Time is fast not on their side. It's a countdown to June 30th, the proposed day for their 100th National Executive Council Committee meeting. And this morning we heard that some PDP governors, the PDP chairman, and INEC are supposed to have a closed-door meeting to deliberate on the matter even further. We'll bring you updates in our subsequent news bulletin on this development. Now, away from the political stories making the rounds in the news, the Guardian newspaper had earlier given us perspectives into what some property owners are going through in being able to secure their C of O's and also have title registries over what has been dubbed bureaucracy and some level of corruption. Particularly, Doctor, from the economic angle of the viability of having landed property, it's quite shocking that this infographic tells us that an estimated $300 billion is now referred to as dead capital, whereas landowners cannot even leverage their properties for loan or investments. Other crimes we see people being able to mortgage their properties and have money to invest in ventures. Why is the case different in Nigeria?
Right. So I think the Nigeria government has not taken their time to look at the laws that come with that bureaucracy itself, because not only even FCT, if you go to states, it's pretty difficult for them to give you C of O, especially even Abuja, they call it R of O, and you take your time, in some places, even those that are in estate, what is there for you to actually say, okay, since you have occupied, go and process your C of O? I can tell you, there is no way you can get a good loan without you putting down a property. And putting down a property simply means you must have a genuine C of O signed, but the process of it is difficult. I can tell you in Nigeria, in Kogi, in virtually in Lagos, it's always difficult. Abuja itself is a problem on its own. So we must find a way, to leverage on that so that people can access capital. Because if you cannot access capital, there's a lot of things you cannot do, and that's what people don't know. Capital formation is the major thing that drives economy, because the more you have property to actually get that capital, you can easily approach. Now, if you have a house that worth 30 million, you can access 20 million, 15 million, and use it to do business. It will actually, increase even our GDP as a whole. So I think this is what federal government especially, to take the lead. When federal government take the lead, then we now convince more states to actually take the lead.
Now, for title registration, Lagos was used as a case study. They talked about the hurdles people have to surmount, visiting about 10 to 17 agencies,
right,
to be able to get permits before proceeding.
I think it should be a one-stop shop. That's a serious problem in Lagos. You have to move around, and by the time you are even building, this one will show up and that one will show up. I think it should be a one-stop shop to get all those things together. Not that you have to go to one. We don't say don't collect your tax. You can also bring it together and say, okay, pay this thing at once, and those agencies will take it from there.
Now, before we go, the last conversation is always on the federal government's interventions to make life better for Nigerians. Usually people obtain loans. Now, the federal government has rolled out a major shake-up saying that they're going to tie your NIN to your credit score. Economically speaking, a good thing, because I know on the downside, if you default, a lot of people will have their visas revoked over unpaid debt. How do you analyze this in closing?
Right. We just talked about ability to actually assess loan when we're talking about, and the same thing applies. I think it's a good one for you to tie with that. Even those people will be conscious. When I recall, was it one of those banks who say you can assess some things? By the time people assess that money, find it difficult to actually repay, because payback also should be what we should do consciously. So if you don't pay back, that means you are denying other people from actually assessing. So tying it to NIN, I think it's a good one. Once they log in your NIN, they see your status, your financial status, your credit worthiness. I think that's it. And that's why if you notice the little one of the government project now, they're actually giving it to civil servants only. not giving to other public, and that's part of the reason, because they think civil servant can easily, you can easily get the money back from them,
from statutory
deduction. Thank you. But for general public, it may be difficult. But when it is tied to loan, I think government will have the confidence as well. Banks will have confidence as well to actually give people loan as expected.
Well, Dr. Aliyu Ilias, thank you for your time on the program this morning. We appreciate his objective insights on the issues in the news. Now, this is all